The first time I heard about Ezra's Eagle was when I watched James T. Prout's presentation titled, "What Do the Scriptures Say About President Donald J. Trump?" And the thing of it is that he wasn't wrong. Well, at least not completely. Unfortunately, there are a few misinterpretations that he made in that video. One of the main reasons why I'm making this video is to hopefully clear up some of these misinterpretations. If you haven't read 2nd Ezra's chapters 11 or 12, or if you haven't watched James T. Prout's presentation, then I suggest you do both, though you don't necessarily have to. In this video, I'll be reading those chapters, as well as other passages from the scriptures that I have found to directly relate to Ezra's eagle. I won't be reading the chapters normally, however. Instead, I've ordered all the verses in as good of a chronological order of events as I possibly could. So if you're not familiar with the text already, then this video might be more confusing than helpful. Ultimately, I hope this should be a good jumping off point for anyone to make their own further self-study. Now, with that being said, let's dive right in. Starting off with Daniel, chapter 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. And by kings it means kingdoms. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man. And a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. In Prout's presentation, he claimed that the 4 beasts were Britain, Russia, European Union, and the United States in that order. Which makes sense to me. If I were to ask anyone which nation they would think of, if I told them to think of a lion, like which nation would they think of or symbolize with a lion? And chances are that person would probably relate it to Great Britain or United Kingdom. Same thing with a bear. When you think of a bear and you think of a nation that is symbolized by a bear, you would think of Russia. As far as the leopard, I'm not entirely sure if the European Union is the leopard. I have my own speculations on that, on what it is, but I'm honestly not sure what that is. But the 4th beast is certainly the United States. So, let's continue. So in 1 Nephi, it reads, And it came to pass that I looked and beheld many waters, and they divided the Gentiles from the seed of my brethren. And it came to pass that the angel said unto me, Behold, the wrath of God is upon the seed of thy brethren. And I looked and beheld a man among the Gentiles, who was separated from the seed of my brethren by the many waters. And I beheld the Spirit of God, that it came down and wrought upon the man. And he went forth upon the many waters, even unto the seed of my brethren, who were in the promised land. And it came to pass that I beheld the Spirit of God, that it wrought upon other Gentiles, and they went forth out of captivity, upon the many waters. And it came to pass that I beheld many multitudes of the Gentiles upon the land of promise, and I beheld the wrath of God, that it was upon the seed of my brethren, and they were scattered before the Gentiles and were smitten. And I beheld the Spirit of the Lord, that it was upon the Gentiles, and they did prosper and obtained the land for their inheritance. And I beheld that they were white, and exceedingly fair and beautiful, like unto my people before they were slain. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, beheld that the Gentiles who had gone forth out of captivity did humble themselves before the Lord, and the power of the Lord was with them. And I beheld that their mother Gentiles were gathered together upon the waters, and upon the land also, to battle against them. And I beheld that the power of God was with them, and also that the wrath of God was upon all those that were gathered together against them to battle. And I, Nephi, beheld that the Gentiles that had gone out of captivity were delivered by the power of God out of the hands of all other nations. So, now getting to 2nd Ezra chapter 11. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. In the same shall 12 kings reign, one after another. So in other words, the 12 feathers are 12 kings, or whenever it says feathers, it refers to kings or rulers. And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth, and all the winds of the air blew on her, and were gathered together. And I beheld, and out of her feathers there grew other contrary feathers, and they became little feathers and small. And I numbered her contrary feathers, and behold, there were 8 of them. And whereas thou sawest the 8 small under feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation, that in him there shall arise 8 kings, whose time shall be but small, and their years swift. So, just as a quick recap, so we have 20 feathers total, with 12 of them being normal sized, and 8 of them are small, and we have 3 heads on the eagle, which, if you saw the picture at the beginning of the video, that came from James T. Proud's presentation, and if you go back to it, you'll notice that they have labeled the feathers 1 through 20. So that picture will come back into view a little later into the video. So let's continue. But her heads were at rest, the head in the mists was greater than the other, yet rested it with the residue. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel, but it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare it unto thee. Behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon earth, and it shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it. Moreover I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon earth, and over them that dwelt therein. And I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her, no, not one creature upon earth. So the thing of it is that if you ask most people, which nation is the greatest throughout world history, chances are they'll probably say the United States, or maybe Rome. But there's not very many other contenders aside from maybe Russia, Great Britain in from a few centuries ago, and I guess China. Very recently, China's been a very good contender in the last few years for a world superpower. But anyways, let's continue. And I beheld, and lo, the eagle rose upon her talons, and spake to her feathers, saying, Watch not all at once, sleep every one in his own place, and watch by course, but let the heads be preserved for the last. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went not out of her heads, but from the midst of her body. As for the voice which thou heardest speak, and that thou sawest not to go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body thereof, this is the interpretation, that after the time of that kingdom there there shall arise great strivings, and it shall stand in peril of failing. Nevertheless it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to his beginning. So I should have highlighted or had it in bold, but two key words from verse 18 is great strivings. It is a very curious thing that a very old text like this uses the words great strivings. Now, ask yourself, was there ever a period of great strivings throughout the history of the United States? Because the thing of it is that the answer is yes. If you replace the word strivings with depression, well, we had a Great Depression, 1929, that's when it began. So, already, this is very curiously tying to modern times or modern history. So let's continue. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose one feather, and reigned over all the earth. And so it was that when it reigned, the end of it came, and the place thereof appeared no more. So the next following stood up and reigned, and had a great time. So we have the voice, and then after the voice speaks, which the voice represents the great strivings, or period of great strivings, then that's when the first feather reigns. So in other words, the first feather is the first king from that period of great strivings, or if it is really the United States that this is talking about, then it would be the first president from the period from when the Great Depression starts. And we'll see why in a moment. But let's continue. And it happened that when it reigned, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Then came there a voice unto it, and said, Hear thou that hast borne rule over the earth so long. This I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more. There shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof, whereof the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12. Then arose the third, and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also. So went it with all the residue one after another, as that every one reigned, and then appeared no more. Then I beheld, and lo, in process of time, the feathers that followed stood up upon the right side, that they might rule also. And some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. For some of them were set up, but ruled not. After this I looked, and behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers. And this do the 12 wings signify, which thou sawest.